You know, what I also find fascinating, Devdutt, and you've written about this, because while we are looking at the Ramayana today through the Ram Mandir's eyes, there are those who will say there are very different interpretations, different visions of Ram. There's the way North India will look at it. There is the way South India, Dravidian India will look at it. Adivasi communities look at it. There's the notion of Siyavar Ram as Sita's husband. There's the warrior King Ram. Is there a common theme, or are there different interpretations across India and the world about how we view Ram?
Well, I have been reading the Ramayana for the last 25 years, and there's a consistency across the Ramayana until we come to the 20th century, when people start interpreting the Ramayana based on their own politics. So suddenly, in the 19th and 20th century, you have a North Indian Ramayana and a South Indian Ramayana and a Dravidian Ramayana and an Aryan Ramayana and a tribal Ramayana. These are only seen in the 19th and 20th centuries. They're not seen in the earlier versions. In every Ramayana, including the Jain Ramayana and the Buddhist Ramayana, Ram is presented as someone who is steadfast. The quality that is continuously presented with Ram is of steadfastness. And there are incidents in the Ramayana that trouble people, which are seen problematic. And it is always saying that, hey, Ram, you are so steadfast. Why did you do this? So nobody questions the nobility of Ram. They will question certain actions. Why did you do this? Why did you do this? And there's always this conversation. But what comes across with Ram is this principle of a steadfast man. What we call interpretations, North Indian interpretations, is a 19th century phenomena, 20th century phenomena. In the 16th century, when, for example, Tulsidas Goswamiji wrote the Ramcharitmanas, he presented Ram as a form of the divine. Now, that was a 15th, 16th century bhakti movement where the divinity was presented through the idea of Ram and Krishna. That's only happening in the 15th and 16th century. But Ram remains the steadfast son, steadfast king. Whether, as far as husband is concerned, he is always faithful to a single wife. Ekam Patni Vrata. He never remarries. So that's the steadfastness. His decision and his relationship with his wife is questioned by everyone, but nobody questions his steadfastness. Now, if you go before that, if you go to the older works, that is the Sanskrit kavyas, the Sanskrit plays, where bhakti is not important, Ram remains the person who respects his father's decision, who says royal integrity and, Jaban, what we call in India commitment, integrity is very important. And that's why Ram the steadfast. You find this even in the Jain Ramayana, where he is considered a Baladeva. He's considered a great Baladeva who always follows the rules, who respects, and is very important for him to maintain commitment, integrity. The words are augustness, royal dignity. These are the words which repeatedly come with Ram over a period of 2,000 years, which is why you find Ramayana in Cambodia, you find Ramayana in Thailand, you find Ramayana in Java, Sumatra, 8th, 9th, 10th century artwork, which show him in this very regal, even the Thai king in the 17th century rewrote the Ramakien to say that this is the vision of kingship that I have, because he sees it as grace and dignity. This was unchanged until the 19th century, when you have postmodern writings, modern writings, new interpretations, the novel being invented. You have this 19th century way of writing. So we must be very careful. We should distinguish the 19th and 20th century writing, which is highly political, from more traditional writings which appear before the 19th century.
I'll play some of those images that we have of Ram's depiction over the years, but while listening to you, if there is a cynic out there, a viewer who's an atheist, does Ramayana still have value for them?
Well, I always tell people that justice is not a fact. It's a belief. We believe in justice. We believe in equality. It's, again, not a fact. Human society is based on belief systems. Even atheists have belief systems. They believe in the Constitution. They believe. So it's not a fact at all. It's not a measurable entity. And Ramayana, science is given a lot of importance, but science cannot measure jealousy. Science cannot measure pride and arrogance, nor can it regulate it. So an atheist values history, but if you look carefully, history only creates quarrels. It tells you about the past in such a way and tells you about social injustice and tells you should have a war. It justifies war. It gives ammunition to lawyers and politicians. Science creates weapons. How do you create peace? In order to create peace, you need stories, you need mythologies, you need belief in something transcendental, that there is something nice about being compassionate and good. Why do people like Ram go to the forest for 14 years when their father tells them to do it in order to maintain royal dignity and compassion? They could have easily fought back and said, no, this is my, ye meri jagir hai, it's my kingdom, I am the eldest son, and he could have fought Bharat over the kingdom as other brothers have. Ravan, in the Ramayana, Ravan kicks his brother Kuber out of Lanka and becomes the king of Lanka. So Ravan doesn't create Lanka. He kicks his brother Kuber out. Or when you look at Kishkinda, another city, Vali kicks his brother Sugriv out and becomes the king of Kishkinda. But Ram doesn't do that. He says, no, I don't want to be the kingdom. I don't want to be the king. If my father wants another brother to become the king, he should be king. Now that's a impossible idea. It's such a fabulous idea that is being presented as a royal document. This is a great king who willingly gives away his kingdom to his younger brother because his father has told him so. And he says, kingship, I always tell people in my workshops that look at Ram, the story, forget about whether it's history or whatever it is. Ask yourself, does Ram have ambition? And when you read the Ramayana, you realize Ram doesn't have ambition. He's just fulfilling, he's doing what Dharma is, helping other people around him. He's feeding people, he's enabling people. He's dealing with complex situations like the gossiping of his kingdom about his wife's character. And he has to deal with this thing that, hey, I'm establishing Ramarajya, I'm making everybody happy. And what are people doing? They're gossiping about my wife's character, and they're telling that she's not worthy of being a queen. So he's abandoning the queen, but never abandoning the wife. While he is the king of Ayodhya and lives in the palace and makes everyone happy, his wife is in the jungle. His children are living in the jungle, becoming musicians and singers and dancers. Kushalava in Sanskrit means an entertainer. So, the story is it real? It doesn't matter. It's talking about a higher value system. And I think it's not about theist and atheist. These are Western concepts about you believe in God. These are about being decent human beings.